Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. We are in another segment of the Triggernometry interview with Dr. Calum Miller regarding abortion and his thoughts on it. And the next segment, Cases of Serious Disability, is a fairly short segment, so I can't tell you up front whether I'm going to also go into another segment or not, but let's listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, so in the case of serious disability, what I'd say is that when you look at the studies on this, and again it's counterintuitive, you ask people who have been through this situation. There are many, many studies of women who have kept a child with Down syndrome or something more serious like Edwards syndrome or Patau syndrome, and they overwhelmingly say, I'm glad I did this. There's the one study in particular which surveys women who have been through this situation, specifically the situation where the child dies shortly after birth. 98% of those women said, I have no regrets and I would do that, make the same decision again. And although that time was incredibly short and incredibly grief-filled to go through that, that was some of the most profound time I had in my life, and I'm so glad I did it, and I would never make a different decision. Whereas by contrast, when you look at women who have abortions in the case of these dreadful conditions where the child is bound to die shortly after birth, a horrific situation that we hope no one we know would ever be in, but sadly it does happen. When women have those abortions in those situations, they describe them as torture. They say it was one of the worst things I've done in my life. And so I think part of what goes on here is we think this is a terrible situation. Abortion seems like a helpful solution to that, to limit some of the pain. And that's a natural instinct. Abortion is the sort of great reliever. It relieves people of an immediate panic and an immediate difficult situation. But when you look at these things in a more rounded way, and when you speak to women and listen to their voices in these situations, that's not the picture that builds up. Instead, the picture is abortion isn't a solution. The pain is still there. Whereas by contrast, keeping the baby doesn't make everything rosy as well. The baby still passes away shortly after birth, and it's tragic. But nevertheless, those women don't say, I consider this a tragedy that I should never have been put through and I wish I'd had the abortion. They say it was a tragedy, but it was such a meaningful tragedy that I wouldn't have had it differently. I would have made the same decision. So that's, I think, what the evidence shows, and I think that should be a factor in public policy.
Okay, and I'm going to say a little bit more. I have spoken about this in other videos. Typically, it's the medical professionals pushing for the abortion, not the mothers. Because people go into obstetrics because they want to be part of that joy of birth. And when that bad diagnosis comes, that prognosis, they want to bail. They want to escape from this situation. It's very painful to walk through that with somebody. But, you wouldn't say to parents, there was just a car accident. Here they are in the hospital. Their kid was riding a bike, got hit by a car. Okay, your child is injured. It looks like he's going to lose his right arm here. He has a head injury. We're not sure how much brain damage there was. Should we just strangle him? Nobody would say that. They would say, okay, how do we get you through this difficult period and get your child onto the best possible life moving forward after this tragic situation? Your child gets diagnosed with cancer, and this cancer is going to be fatal. Well, you look at, okay, what kind of palliative care do we need? How do we spend as much high quality time with our child as we possibly can? You don't get the cancer diagnosis and say, okay, let's just slit his throat. You use hospice care. And there is something called perinatal hospice that is available when there's been a potentially lethal prenatal diagnosis, where it's hospice, where the parents are put in touch with other families who've been through similar situations. They're given help with a birth plan. Sometimes they want to do a cesarean because it improves the chance that the baby will be born alive and that they will get to hold and cuddle the baby. Sometimes they don't want to go that route. They want to let nature take its course. They talk about, okay, if the baby's born alive, when do you think we should provide resuscitation, or do you just want comfort care? Hospice. You would consider it cruel If St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, if, well, looks like this cancer is inoperable, shall we just, cut his head off? You'd say, what the hell is wrong with you? You walk the family through this. You don't just kill the kid and wash your hands of it and walk away. But why is it okay when that diagnosis comes before the baby's born that let's just kill it and try again, this one's broken? This child is not a defective order from Amazon where you just, fine, we'll throw this away and try again. No matter what, this is going to be a tragedy. And when you go for abortion, you are maximizing the tragedy. Because first of all, you are getting the parents to sign that baby's death warrant. Yes, kill this baby now. Here's my signature. Imagine living with that the rest of your life. And then there is absolutely no chance of redemption. Sometimes these diagnoses are wrong, and either there's nothing wrong with the baby or it's not nearly as severe as they thought. And if you've done the abortion, that baby's dead. To go, oh gosh, he didn't have Edwards syndrome after all. Sorry about that. That doesn't give them their baby back. They would have had a lifetime with that child if you hadn't chosen to maximize the tragedy. Abortion in the case of a severe prenatal diagnosis is a choice to maximize the tragedy for the family in order to allow the medical professionals to just bail as quickly as possible and never have to think about this situation again. So I've said that before, I'm saying it now.